Okay, so here we are in our stamping corner, and we are going to do things a little bit differently tonight. Usually I have a card already made to show you, but tonight I am going to work as I go. So I have an idea in mind and I hope it works out. We will find out soon and together. So we're going to use the Hey Chick stamp set and cut and emboss bundle. We're going to use Buffalo Check stamp. We're going to use our basic tools. We're going to use a clear block that is the size F, so that will fit on the Buffalo Check stamp. I'm planning to use Tuxedo Black, Memento ink, Cherry Cobbler, and Sahara Sand classic stamping pads. So let's get started and see what we can come up with. For the card base tonight, I'm going to use Sahara Sand. So I'm going to cut that at 5.5. And that will give us our standard A2 size card. Then we're going to score it at 4.25. And we'll fold that and use our bone folder to give it a nice crease. For our next layer, we are going to cut a piece of basic white, and we're going to cut it at 5.25. Then we're going to turn and we're going to cut it at 4 inches. And set our scraps aside. Now we're going to ink up our Buffalo Check ink stamp, and this will be our background stamp. So let's set this aside for just a moment. We'll put our Buffalo Check stamp on this block. Oops. And you can see that this one doesn't, it's clear, what they call a clear mount stamp, but it's not a cling stamp. So it doesn't stick quite as well as the new clear mount stamps. We're going to get our Stampin' Pierce mat to put underneath just to give us a nice steady surface. And this time we don't want our ink to be too defined, so we're going to kind of go for a little more maybe antiqued or kind of a rough looking stamp a little bit. So we're going to ink it up with some Cherry Cobbler. Oh, now see it's slipping already. We'll get it nice and inked up. And actually what we'll do is we'll use a little different technique tonight, just because I can tell that it's not going to stick well on that clear block. And so, okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take our piece of Whisper White, we're going to set it over top of our stamp and just set it down carefully. Kind of line it up as we go. And then we're just going to take our fingers and we're going to press along. Oops, I did get a little smudge on my finger. But this is going to be the back, so it will be fine. And I'm just going to press carefully so that I don't move the paper around, because I don't really want it to scoot. That would make it a little too smeary. All right, and now I think I'm going to use my take your pick tool to lift it up. And there we have a nice background stamp, and we worked around the fact that our stamp would not stick to our block tonight. So I'm going to set that one aside for a minute and I will clean it off later. So here is our background stamp. So far we've got our, oh, hold on, let me clean off my fingers just real quick so I don't get any cherry cobbler ink where I don't want it to be. All right, so now we've got our Sahara sand base, and we will put our background, our buffalo check background next, and let's cut a piece of cherry cobbler. Let me see if I have any scraps for that real quick. I'm not sure that I do in my stash. Doesn't look that way. All right, so we will cut up, let's see, I'd like to do a stitched rectangle. Let's see what size we might need. Here's our rectangle stitched framelits, guys. Now, if you didn't have a rectangle framelit, you could always just use a square. You could cut a rectangle, just a rectangle without the stitching. But the stitching just gives it a little something extra. I like that, a little extra. Okay, so we need to cut a piece that's about 2 inches wide off the end so we can run that through the Big Shot. Or Stampin' Cut emboss machine, whichever die cutting machine that you have. Okay, so here's our 2-inch strip. Here is my Big Shot. Make sure I don't set it on my card. Now, one helpful tip when you're using the Big Shot, especially with larger dies, and I just learned this recently, is if you don't put them straight on like this, they cut a little easier. So I'm going to turn mine so that it's at a bit of a diagonal, and then I'll put my rectangle die on there, put my second plate on the top, and run it through. All right, so now we have our stitched rectangle. And all we do when we take this out is just gently pop it out of the frame. And we will set these aside. And put our rectangle back in its case so that this can get lost. And there are a lot of different shapes in these stitched rectangles dies. There are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 different rectangles in there. So let's set those aside. All right, so now We have our Sahara Sand base. We have our Buffalo Check Cherry Cobbler layer. I'm thinking we'll put our stitched rectangle this way. And let's cut a piece of Sahara Sand to go across lengthwise. So we'll make that, I think, about an inch. Oops, I'm on the wrong side of my paper. Here we go. Alright, so if we layer it a little bit, it'll go this way, and then we definitely need to stamp our chick. So let's get our Stampin' Pierce mat again, and I will get a smaller block. Maybe the size E this time. Now, usually I do use the Stamparatus a lot, but tonight just so happens to seem like the blocks might work out easier. Now, the Buffalo Check stamp might have stuck to the Stamparatus. I can't be sure, but we didn't try that. So. And I think we will, oops, that's the wrong thing. I have a little pack here of extras that I cut sometimes. I think maybe one of these will be nice. Maybe that one, and maybe the oval. These are stitched from the Stitched Shapes die cuts, and I think one of them would be nice with our chick. And so let's see, I think, well, I do think maybe that one is cute with the funny hair. So let's go with that one. And we will get our block and just attach it. And then I'm just going to use the scrap of white card that we have left over from earlier and stamp our chick in Memento ink, and this is the Tuxedo Black Memento ink. Oh, I forgot to put my sheet back down on my stamp set. I'll be stuck to the other side if I don't. Alright, so now we're going to stamp our chick. So we'll take our ink and ink up our stamp. Just with lots of little taps. So you don't want to rock your ink or smush it down really hard. Just tap, 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 tap. And then we're going to, let's stamp our chicken right here. Our chick, I guess. We should just call her a chick since she's from the Hey Chick set. And I'm going to use my chamois, which just has water on it, and you can tell that it's been inked up a lot lately. And we'll clean off our stamp. And I just keep my chamois inside a clear stamp case. If you don't have one of these stamp cases for your chamois, let me know and I can get one of those for you. Or you can order them. They come in a pack of 4. So we're going to put this little chick right back in here. And we are going to see what dies came with our chick dies set. So I am assuming there is one that matches this chick, hopefully. And it looks like there are a lot of little choices. There's a really cool, looks like chicken wire, or there's some little eggs, there's a little sign, there's some corn cobs and a corn stalk. But what we are looking for is this little chick right here. And you want to be careful when you pull these out so that you don't bend them. They're pretty tough, but I have a feeling they could bend if you were a little rough on them. All right, and so now we need our Big Shot again. We'll put this back on the side. And close up our memento ink before that causes any kind of problems. Here's our Big Shot, and this time we'll be going through the other direction. So we'll put our chick down and line up our die. Now when you're using these dies, there's a side with a little raised line around the shape, and that's the side that you want towards the paper. So we're going to turn that towards the paper, and we're going to line her up inside there as best we can. Hold on, I gotta stand up to do that because I cannot quite tell from where I was how she lines up. Okay, and then see her right there, she's all lined up. I'm going to put the second plate on the top, and I usually push my platform in until the handle turns, and then we'll slide her through. And here we have it. She is as cute as can be. So here is our little chick, and we'll move our Big Shot out of the way again. Set her to the side. Alright. And let's see what we've got now. So we've got our card base, our buffalo check layer, our piece of Sahara sand that goes across, our stitched shape. I know I'm not lining them up very neatly, but we're just kind of trying to work quickly and get a cute card put together. And so let's see, what do we think? Maybe, let's see. I think she would be really cute on here. And then we can stamp, let's see what else was in there. If there were any little shapes we could use. There is a cute little sign. But I think it probably, I don't think it would look quite white, right? If it was white, I'm not sure. So I'll have to play around with that and see how it turns out. Alright, there's our little chick back in there. I think for now we'll just do a little rectangle maybe for our color. Alright, so we need a little piece of scrap to stamp our saying on. And we are going to stamp let's stamp Have a Happy Day. That looks like. Although I might have to get a little, I think I need a little wider piece of white. Let's see what we've got here. Oh, this one here looks like it might be about right. So this little scrap piece is about 3/4 inch wide. So, and this block here is the D block. So we will grab our Memento Jet Black ink again. Tuxedo Black. I'm sorry, Jet Black is the other kind. Alright, and we'll just stamp Have a Happy Day. I think that's a little bit crooked, so let me cut that one off and we'll try it one more time. But I will save that because I could probably fussy cut around it later. Alright, so here's our ink again. We'll tap, 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 tap. And then, let's see. Okay, here we go. Let's try this one more time. Oh, that looks better, I think. Alright, I'm going to grab my chamois one more time. And clean off my ink, my stamp, I mean, the ink off my stamp. I'll put the lid back on my ink because I don't want it to get out of hand. Then let's cut our little saying at, looks like 1.5 would be good, 1.5 inches. So that's going to be cute. And then let's cut a little bigger rectangle to go around it, maybe out of the Sahara sand. So we said this was 3/4 inch tall, so we're going to want the next one to be 1 inch. And then it was 1.5 inches wide, so we'll go 1 3/4, just so that it fits inside there nicely. And I think that will be just about right. And then let's take a little sponge. Let me see if I can find the right color here. I need one that's fairly light. That one's yellow, suede. I know I have some crumb cake ones. Here's one. And crumb cake and Sahara sand are not exactly the same, but I think as far as this goes, it will work just fine. So we'll grab our Sahara sand ink. And this is the side that I used for the crumb cake, so I'm going to use this side for this. And I'm just going to dab it on there and then sponge it a little bit around the edges. And it won't add a lot of color, but it'll kind of soften up the layer a little bit. So let's do that. And I think I'll do that a little bit with my stitched circle too. And now when you're sponging the layers, you can sponge as much or as little as you want to. It all depends on the kind of look that you want when you're done. And I just want mine to look a little roughed up, and just so it stands out a little bit from my chick. I think that'll be perfect. And we'll do just a little more along that edge. And these sponges come in a 3-pack. You can get 3 of them. And they actually come in a round circle. So I just cut them into these little wedges, and it gives me a lot more use for those sponges. You can use a lot more of them. And I keep them all in little Ziploc bags in a box so that I can use them anytime. So let's put together some of these pieces so we kind of know where we're at. I'm not going to put our chick on yet because I might want to give her a little bit of color. So I'm using my liquid glue, and I put a little bit on the back of our stamp saying, "Have a happy day." I'm going to stick that kind of in the middle. I'm going to adhere our buffalo check layer. My glue got a little blobby right there, so I'm going to kind of spread it out a little. Then I'll put a little squiggle down the middle and set that to the side because I'm going to need it again. And we'll put this right on the front of our card. And these larger background stamps are really nice because it gives you a quick, almost customized designer series paper that you can use with whatever color you want for the project that you're working on. So I am going to grab my linen thread, and I'm going to tie a little bow around one end of this, just because I think it'll be kind of cute. So we'll go maybe one. I'd probably better give myself a little more room to tie. 1, 2, that looks good. And then I will tie a little bow there. And you kind of don't want to pull your bow too tight before you get it where you want it to be. Just because what I found is that it, because it's thread and it's kind of windy, it will twist. So let's kind of scoot that down to the end, and we'll give it a trim. And I think this layer we will turn it over and put some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back. There we go. Peel the backs off. And let's put this layer right about here. And this is our layer that goes next. And since we popped this one up, we kind of have to pop up the next one. Otherwise it'll look like a ramp, and we don't want that. So we'll fix this is our oval, our stitched oval. And we'll put some glue along this side. And let's put it right about here, I think. Okay, and now we'll give our little chick a little bit of color. We have, let's see, this is the Stampin' Blend Ivory, and we'll use a little bit of that just to give her some color. And these Stampin' Blends color really nicely. They're really easy to blend. And let's see, I think I need kind of an orange. Let me see what we have for that. I think we will use a little bit of this pumpkin pie. It might be a little too bright, but I think it'll be okay. We'll use that for her beak and for her feet. And maybe for some of those tail feathers. We'll just kind of add it in there. I don't really know what a whole lot about what chicken colors are, but I have seen chickens before. I'm just not sure about their coloring. Okay, so I think that'll be cute. And then we will add a little bit of this bronze in there. And just give her a little bit of definition. And we'll put some in her tail. And a little bit up here. I want to call that her hair, but I'm not 100% certain that's what you call that on a chicken. She certainly is cute though. There we go. Maybe a little more down here even. Alright, and I think she turned it over. And then we will use, let's see, another little Stampin' Dimensional, but we're just going to cut off these little edge pieces and use those because we want to make the most of all of our products. Alright. So here is our chick, and then we'll put some Stampin' Dimensionals on here, and we are almost done. And then here is our Have a Happy Day. It'll look all right there. And then I was thinking I have some let's see. Now I probably won't be able to find what I'm looking for. Oh, here they are. These are matte black dots, and I thought they would go really cute on this card. Okay, so let's pick out a few of these with our Take a Pick tool. And there are two different sizes. Let's see, I think we're going to go with the smaller ones this time. All right. And we'll just put them maybe right along here. There's one. Two. And let's do 3. A nice odd number, don't you think? 1, 2, 3. And there we have it. There's our Stampin' Sunday card for tonight. Using the Hey Chick bundle, we use some Sahara Sand, Cherry Cobbler, and Basic White. And we got to use the Big Shot. We got to use a nice background stamp. And some of this linen thread. This is probably my current favorite little accessory, is that linen thread. So I hope you enjoyed watching me tonight. I hope you get a chance to stamp a card of your own and have a great rest of the evening. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.